Hello everyone, I am Dipshika from the Bodhi Academy, and in today's video we are going to continue with the continuation of the biology NCRT 11th standard book, that is the chapter number 18, um, body fluids and circulation. So we will continue with this chapter. Okay, in previous video we have covered till blood grouping. Okay, so now in today's class we are going to continue with the coagulation of blood, then the lymph, that is the tissue fluid, and the circulatory pathways and the human circulatory system. So let's start with it. So under coagulation of blood, do you have when you cut your finger or you hurt yourself, that time you all must have observed that your wound does not continue to bleed for a longer period of time, correct? Usually the blood flow stops after some time. So do you know the reason why it gets stops? That is because blood exhibits coagulation or a clotting, that is in response to any injury or a trauma. Okay, so this is a mechanism to prevent the excessive blood loss from the body. So you would have observed that is a dark reddish color brown scum which form at the site of the cut or an injury over a period of time. Okay, after some time, after a blood flow stops. So that is what? That is a clot or a coagulum that is formed mainly of a network of threads which is called as the fibrins. So what are these fibrins? That in these fibrins it contains a dead and damaged form elements of blood, okay, which gets trapped. So these fibrins, they are formed by the conversion of inactive substance which is called as fibrinogens in the plasma by the enzyme that is involved, that is thrombin. So this thrombin that is formed from another inactive substance that is called present in the plasma, that is called as the prothrombin. So this is an enzyme complex, okay, that is called as the thrombokinase, that is required for the above reaction, that is the cascade process. That enzymatic reactions, that is called as the cascade process, which involves a number of factors which are present in the plasma in an inactive form. So an injury or a trauma that stimulates these platelets in the blood to release certain factors which activates the mechanism of coagulation. So certain factors which are released by the tissues at the site of injury, that can also initiate the coagulation. So in this coagulation process, calcium ions that plays an important role in clotting. Then we'll see what is called as lymph, that is a tissue fluid, okay. As the blood passes through the capillaries in the tissues, some water along with many small water soluble substances that move into the spaces between the cells of the tissues, that leaving the larger proteins and most of the formed elements in the blood vessels. So this fluid that is released, that is called as the interstitial fluid, or you can call it as tissue fluid also. It has the same mineral distribution like that occurs in the plasma. So this here exchange of nutrients and gases that occurs, that is between the blood and the cell, okay, through this fluid. So an elaborate network of vessels which is called as the lymphatic system that collects this fluid and drains it back to the major veins. So the fluid that is present in the lymphatic system is called as the lymph, and the lymph, that is a colorless fluid which is containing a specialized cells which is called as lymphocytes, which are responsible for the immune response of the body. So this lymph that is also an important carrier of the nutrients, hormones, etc. Fats absorbed through this lymph, that is in the lacteals which is present in the interstitial villi. This villi that is present in the intestines, small intestines. Then the circulatory pathways. So there are two types of circulatory pathways are there, open and the closed ones. So open circulatory system that is present in the arthropods, molluscs, and in which what happens, the blood that is pumped by the heart, which is passes through large vessels and into open spaces, okay, like body cavities, that is called as sinuses. So a closed circulatory system that is present in case of annelids and chordates. So in which what happens, the blood that is pumped by the heart, that is always circulated through a closed network of blood vessels. So this pattern, that is the closed circulatory system, that is considered to be more advantageous over the open circulatory system. Okay, so here all vertebrates, they possesses a muscular chambered heart. Fishes have a two-chambered heart, okay, with an atrium and a ventricle. So only two chambers are present in case of fishes. So amphibians accept the there is one exception, that is about the reptiles, and that is crocodile, which have a three-chambered heart, okay, with two atria and a single ventricles. Whereas crocodile, birds and mammals, we all possesses four-chambered heart with two atria and the two ventricles. So in fishes, what happens? The heart pumps out deoxygenated blood, and which is oxygenated by the gills and supplied to the body parts, from where deoxygenated blood is returned to the heart. This type of circulation, that is called as the single circulation. Okay, and in amphibians and reptiles, the left atrium that receives the oxygenated blood from the gills, lung, or you can say from the skin also, okay, and the right atrium that gets the deoxygenated blood from the other parts of the body. So however, they get mixed up in the single ventricle, which pumps out mixed blood, that is a incomplete double circulations. Okay, so in birds and mammals, what happens? Oxygenated and deoxygenated blood that is received by the, here in case of birds and mammals, oxygenated blood that is received by the left atria, and the deoxygenated blood that is received by the right atria, which is passes on to the ventricles of the same side. Okay, so here what will happen, deoxygenated blood will received by the left atria, and it is passed out onto the left ventricle only. Likewise, the deoxygenated blood that will be received by the right atria, and it will be passes on to the right ventricle only. Okay, so the ventricles that is pumped it in without any mixing up, that is called as the two separate circulatory pathways, which are present in this type of organism, that is in case of birds and the mammals. Okay, sorry, birds and the mammals. So these animals, they have, we call it as double circulations. And now let us study about the human circulatory system. So a human circulatory system, that is also called as the blood vascular system, that consists of a muscular chambered heart, that's on the close network of a branching blood vessels and the blood. Okay, the blood is the fluid which is being circulated into the heart, okay, through this heart. So this heart, that is a mesodermally derived organ, which is situated in the thoracic cavity, that is between the two lungs, and it is slightly lifted towards the left. So the size of the heart is of clenched fist. So that is protected, the heart is protected by a double walled membranous bag-like structure, which is called as the pericardium. Okay, and this enclosing it encloses a pericardial fluid inside it. So a heart that has a four chamber, human heart consists of a four chambers, two relatively small upper chambers, that is called as the atria. These two small upper chambers, that is called as the atria, and two larger lower chambers, that is called as the ventricles. These are the larger chambers, they are called as the ventricles. So a thin muscular wall, that is called as the interarterial septum, that separates the right and the left atria. So here this left and the right atria, that is separated by a thick walled interventricular septums. The atrium and the ventricle of the same side, they are also separated by a thick fibrous tissue. What is called as that? That is called as the arterioventricular septum. Here it is, arterioventricular septum, this. Okay, and this is that interventricular septum. However, each of these septa, they are provided with an opening through which the two chambers of the same size are connected. The opening between the right atrium and the right ventricle, that is guarded by a valve which is formed by of these three muscular flaps, or you can call this as cups. Though it is formed from three muscular cups, it is called as the tricuspid valve. Whereas a bicuspid or a mitral valve guards the opening of the left atrium and the right ventricle. So the opening of the right and the left ventricle into the pulmonary artery and the aorta are respectively, that is provided with the semilunar valves. So these valves in the heart, they allow the flow of blood only in one direction, that is from the atria to the ventricles, and from the ventricles to the pulmonary artery or the aorta. So these valves prevent any backward flow. So the entire heart, that is made up of a cardiac muscles. The walls of the ventricles are much thicker than that of the atria. Okay, so a specialized cardiac musculature, that is called as the nodal tissue, that is also distributed into the heart. So this tissue, that is patch of this tissue, that is also present in the right upper corner of the right atrium, and that is called as the sinoatrial node. So another mass of this tissue only, that is the nodal tissue, that is also seen in the lower left corner of the right atrium, which is close to the atrioventricular septum, that is also called as the atrioventricular node. So a bundle of nodal fibers, that is atrioventricular bundle, we call it as, that continues from the AVN, that is atrioventricular node, which passes through the atrioventricular septa to emerge on the top of the interventricular septum and immediately divide it into right and the left bundle. So these branches, give rise to minute fibers throughout the ventricular musculature of the respective sides, and these branches or these small fibers, that is called as the Purkinje fibers. So these fibers, along with the right and the left bundles, they are known as the bundle of His. Here they have shown, these are called as the bundle of His, this portion. Okay, so these are the small fibers which are called as the Purkinje fibers. The nodal musculature that has the ability to generate action potential without any external stimuli. So it is auto-excitable. However, the number of action potentials that could be generated in a minute vary at different parts of the nodal system. Sinoatrial node, that can generate the maximum number of action potential, that is 70 to 75 minutes per minute, and that is responsible for initiating and maintaining the rhythmic contractile activity of the heart. Therefore, it is called as the pacemaker. A heart normally beats 70 to 75 times in a minute, that is called as the average beats per minute. Average beats, it's 72 beats per minute. So yes, so in today's class we have learned about the coagulation of blood. In that we have learned about the different enzymes which are involved, like the thrombokinase enzymes. Then we have also seen about what is called as the lymph. Then the circulatory pathways, there are two circulatory pathways, open and the closed one, and closed one is more advantageous over the open one. Then we have also seen about human circulatory system. Yes, so thank you for watching the video. If you like the video, then please hit the like button and do share with your friends. Remaining part we will continue in the next chapter, and don't forget to subscribe the channel. Thank you so much.